Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegas Tips and Tricks Weekly. As you know, we've been kind of doing a lot of sort of self-indulgent programming here on the channel the last few weeks. And I don't know, I guess maybe today's somewhat of a continuation of that, but I really wanted to return to a topic that I think has become one many Vegas visitors, particularly those who've been traveling to Vegas for several years, several decades even, have commented on a lot recently. And that is basically, is Vegas still a good travel value? And, if you have like a grandfather, or, maybe a father or mother, if you're old enough, who went to Vegas back in the 50s, 60s, even 70s, they could probably talk to you about all the great hotel rates they got, how you go to Vegas, you spend a few dollars in the casino, they hook you up with a buffet, a steak dinner, a room. It's super inexpensive. It's a great deal. But lately, I would say most of the commentary that I get, most of the feedback that I get from people is that, Vegas is a ripoff now. And so I wanted to return to the topic of Vegas value today and talk about whether or not Vegas still is a value, and in what ways it isn't, and in what ways it still is. If you enjoy our program, please consider hitting that like button, leaving a comment, and subscribing to the channel. It helps us out a lot. So, one of the things that the early proprietors of Las Vegas hotels and resorts realized is, when you're basically getting 90% of your revenue from gambling, you can afford to give away a lot of stuff. You can afford to, promote like a late night buffet that's like 99 cents, $1.99, whatever. You can afford cheap steak dinners. You can afford to put up the couple from Chicago in a nice motel room for a few days and not charge them much, if anything. And a lot of people, older folks, and I'm almost one of those at this point, can remember back to a time in which that was the way Vegas kind of worked. You went, you agreed to gamble for a few days, and they hooked you up. It's not as true anymore. But that doesn't mean that Las Vegas still isn't a great value. I'm going to talk a little bit about why that is today. And so I definitely welcome your comments below. I know I've had comments from people who watch the channel about, I used to go to Vegas. I'm not going anymore. It just isn't the deal it used to be. The gambling is terrible. It's just not worth it to me. And if that's how you feel, I'd love to hear your comments below and, specifics as to why. I will say that over the course, certainly of the last generation or so, and even over the course of the last couple of years, as Vegas has bounced back from the COVID issues, things have gotten more expensive. Comps have become harder to come by. Cheap eats have been more difficult to come by. I go back in my trips to Las Vegas approximately, I guess it's 27 years and some change. And it certainly has changed a lot. I mean, you could pretty much define that as a generation, and it's changed quite a bit. There were a lot more sort of cheap food deals available on the Strip, particularly if you're willing to eat late at night. And if you went downtown, you could get like breakfast at like 1 a.m. for 99 cents, $1.99, whatever. There were buffets for $3, $4, $5 that could definitely fill you up, although maybe not with the best quality food. And that stuff is essentially gone. There are some great deals to be had in Las Vegas, but a lot of them are not in the touristy sorts of areas. My good buddy Mark, Pennies for Vegas, talks about any sort of great Vegas deals he can find. If you're not subbed to his channel, you should do so. He still finds some great deals on food and beverage. You can still check out the Las Vegas Advisor. They have a top 10 list every month that talks about some of the great deals in Vegas. And there are still some great deals in Vegas. My good buddy Steve Gustafson, who's probably been to Vegas more times than anyone on earth, over 500 times. The last time he came, he stayed. And he updates his list of great food and beverage options in Vegas as well, usually every month or two. So you can still get cheap drinks, you can still get cheap food, but you're probably not getting it at the Wynn, the Venetian, or Caesar's Palace. And at one time, you probably could. But I will say a couple of things about that. Number one, yes, Vegas gave away a lot of stuff 20, 30, 40 years ago. But the stuff they gave away wasn't of the same quality it is today. Yeah, you could get those sort of cheap motel rooms at the Flamingo or the Stardust or the Tropicana, but most people, or at least most people's wives, wouldn't be too keen on staying in a 240 square foot motel room, which is what they were. Yeah, you could get a cheap meal overnight in the coffee shop, all you can eat pancakes or some sketchy cut of steak for $2.99, $3.99, whatever, but it wasn't really that great. You could go to a buffet for 99 cents, $1.99, $2.99, but you didn't get the same quality of food. Here a generation or two later, Las Vegas hotel rooms, 700-800 square feet, gourmet rooms, some of the best hotels, some of the best restaurants in the world, to be perfectly honest. And that simply wasn't the case, even when I went back for the first time back in the mid-90s, and definitely when a lot of your parents went back in the 80s, 70s, 60s, and so on. That being said, there are very few places you can go on vacation where there is at least a small theoretical chance that you'll come back with more money than you left with. And that's one of the great things about Las Vegas. And you can say, well, sure, but I could go to any casino anywhere in the world, and that could be the case. I could go to Reno, Tahoe, Tunica, the Gulf Coast, Atlantic City. Hell, I could go around the world. I could go to Macau. Yeah, you could. But I'm not convinced that there's still a single place in the world that provides the same combination of value and spectacle that Las Vegas does. I would argue that there probably is no place on earth quite like the Las Vegas Strip. Yeah, sure, there are places with bright lights, Times Square, some of the great cities of the East, not just Macau, but Tokyo. There are amazing cities in the world. There are amazing places to visit, but they'll cost you. And in all likelihood, they're going to cost you more to get there and to stay there than you'll spend going to Las Vegas. And sometimes we look at Las Vegas as some kind of, one of many. But in reality, it is one of few, or maybe one of one. There simply is nowhere like it in the world. Yeah, you can go to casino destinations, have a great time, have a nice room, have some great food, see some shows, and maybe have a better chance to win money than you do in Las Vegas. And you could certainly go to, cities around the world that are the equal of Las Vegas, well, and in many ways, so much more. Las Vegas may be an amazing city, but it's not London, it's not Paris, it's not Rome, it's not even New York City. The history isn't there, the culture isn't there. It may be getting there, but it's not there yet. But you won't go to those cities and spend, $100 a night for a really nice, or at least a pretty nice hotel room, and have a chance, again, to come home with more money than you left with. There's so many folks in the world watch YouTube that love to go to Disneyland, Disney World. It probably is the only sort of travel group in the world that rivals the Las Vegas people. People who love Disney really love Disney. but it is very expensive, hundreds and hundreds of dollars a day. Take a family of 4, 5, 6, it gets crazy really fast. And while it's true that most people who go to Las Vegas come home closer to broke than rich, you still have that small chance, and I've done it a couple of times, where you come home with more money than you left with. And along the way, you had a great time. Um, Las Vegas, again, has some of the best hotels in the world. Wynn is certainly right up there. The Waldorf Astoria, Venetian, Aria, Caesars, Bellagio. There's so many great hotels in Las Vegas, and there's so many hotels that aren't considered great in Las Vegas that would still be considered the best of the best in 99% of the cities in the world. And you can stay there for a song. And it's fun. It's a fun place to hang out with your friends or family. It's a fun place to go by yourself if you need to or want to. And again, if you pay attention, if you look at some of the tips and tricks that we've talked about over the years, and those of other Vegas vloggers, you can still do it for what is essentially a song. You could potentially easily get a room midweek at a place like, I don't know, Excalibur, Flamingo, Harrah's, whatever. Lower end properties for sure, but huge resorts, which in most cities would be the biggest and best place you could stay, and you could get in for under $100 a night. I've checked, I've looked. I mean, you can pay easily $100, $150, $200 a night for a decent motel in a lot of cities these days. Yeah, airfare has gone up as well, but it's gone up everywhere. So, you can go to Vegas, or you can go to St. Louis or Nashville or Miami, great places to visit. But along the same lines, you're just dealing with inflation in general. So I guess my obvious answer to is Vegas a value is yes, it is. But if you want it to be like a great value, yeah, sure, you can still find really cheap small motel rooms. Go downtown and stay at the Golden Gate in one of their little shoe boxes. But don't expect your wife to enjoy it. We've come to expect a lot more from Las Vegas over the years. Gourmet rooms that, with celebrity chefs, hotels that are some of the most opulent in the world, and shows, whether they be Las Vegas type shows or residencies, that are among the best you can find anywhere in the world. I mean, Las Vegas is probably one of the top 10 cities in the world for food, probably one of the top 10 cities in the world for entertainment, certainly one of the top 2 or 3 cities in the world for gambling, and I would say among those, probably the very best value. But it's definitely changed. It's definitely got harder to find those values, and it has definitely become, not quite as good a deal as it was. But again, while you may be paying more nowadays, you're also getting more. All right, again, want to hear your comments below, what you think about Vegas as a value these days. Maybe you think it isn't anymore, and I would love to hear why, with some, good arguments. We'll be back this Wednesday. I have I think going to be a very fun Vegas tips and tricks show on Wednesday. We're going to talk about some alternative lodging options. Won't tell you where or what, but we're going to touch on that a little bit. We'll be back next Saturday with another Vegas Tips and Tricks Weekly, and we're about, a week and a half away from our live stream where we're going to be promoting our trip in September, which is now, I think, just 16 days away. So very excited about that. Looking forward to vlogging that for you guys, and also looking forward to your feedback. Once again, as always, I appreciate you all. I hope you have a great, lucky, and healthy week. We'll see you all again real soon. Bye-bye.